Web3 TV.
Welcome to Global Blockchain Congress 2025, Web3 TV here. I'm your host, Ayadi Kiros. Today we are joined with the president of Open Campus, Mohamed.
GM, thank you for having me here today.
GM. Look, you've got a very interesting background of, how you came about to EdTech. You were not that far off from being in education. Please tell us the full story.
Absolutely. So I graduated from university many years ago with first class honours of mathematics, went into finance and quit in my second week. This is in the city of London. Realised that there wasn't that moral alignment, if you like. So I went back into education, studied for a master's in mathematics and then a master's in education itself, and ended up being a high school teacher for the best part of a decade. During that journey, I discovered Bitcoin, actually, in 2017. A friend shared the white paper and a mathematician inside me really geeked out.
Right.
They solved the Byzantine generals problem, and then very quickly discovered ICOs. So started buying Bitcoin and Ethereum to on-ramp into shitcoins, fundamentally, and rode that wave all the way up and all the way down. And for those people entering a first cycle, it's fine if you make losses. I mean, maybe it's not, but it's a great learning opportunity as well. It's part of the journey. It's a baptism of fire.
For sure.
But going through that baptism of fire and being an educator, you're taught to reflect. So I reflected on my experiences and why I'd lost a lot of the money that I'd made. And I realized there was a lack of understanding around what token economics or tokenomics actually means. So I started my trade in tokenomics and alongside being an educator. And in 2021, a company by the name of Animoca Brands came knocking, one of the biggest in the space. They'd seen my portfolio, they'd seen the work that I'd done. They were intrigued. You're a mathematician, you're an educator, you do token economics. Let's have a conversation. And that conversation concluded with me being offered to come in and found the tokenomics department. But what was super interesting is during that conversation with the chairman and co-founder, Yatsu, we both really resonated on education, knowing that education needed a change.
Right.
And during a year later, during 2022, we acquired an educational technology company called TinyTap. And we actually did a proof of concept with publisher NFTs, which were looking at how we can reward content creators who were teachers. Based on content they generated that was generating revenue through the TinyTap platform.
Nice.
And we ended up tokenizing 12 of these courses, which we sold on OpenSea November, December 22. Which, bear in mind, if you were in the market back then, November and December were completely dead.
Right.
And we were like height of the bear market.
Right.
If you like, we managed to raise over $400,000 across these 12 NFT sales. And the best part, half of that went to the actual teachers.
Wow.
So you had an elementary school teacher in the US walking away with somewhere between $35,000 and $36,000, more than her yearly salary.
For sure. Life-changing money to them.
It
For
was a lot of money. I mean, that may not sound like a lot to some of the meme coin traders out there.
Right.
But for someone who is struggling to make meet send, that is a life-changing sum of money.
Right.
But it also positively reinforced that there can be a world where blockchain, education, teachers, investors can live, where we can create a positive flywheel for success. And that was the proof of concept. Fast forward to May of 2023, we launched a token on Binance. So it was really big for us. Binance Labs at the time, which has now been renamed to Yeezy Labs, with a big investor. I know CZ is a big believer in education, and we can see that what he's done with Giggle as a platform and as a token as well.
Yes.
So there's a close alignment towards education from that perspective. And fast forward to where we are today, we've actually had a lot of innovation happening.
Walk me through that.
So we spoke about the publisher NFTs, which was the first one. Next was actually bringing credentialing on chain. One of the biggest problems we have is once we leave education, any learning we do isn't really captured. And we were discussing off air before about LinkedIn and how I can go on LinkedIn and I can say I've been to Yale, I've been to Harvard, but how can we prove that I've actually been to these places? How can I verify it? But also, how can I verify the smaller bits of education and upskilling that happens in the workplace? And there doesn't exist a tool as of today that does that. Or that does within Open Campus with our on-chain credentialing. So it becomes your digital passport. That's something that we're rolling out actually, and maybe this is a bit of alpha, in Vietnam and in India as well in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for announcements around that. But something even more impactful is we managed to bring on chain $1 million of student loans in the Philippines.
Wow.
The biggest issue in the Philippines and a lot of developing economies is the lack of access to finance.
For sure.
So what a lot of families were doing were going to loan sharks, and loan sharks were charging 40-50% APR for these short-term loans. And that's if you got a good deal. You were being charged at that rate. So we came in and we tokenized the best part of the loan books, and we were charging 16% APR, which is very competitive for that market. And what we've seen so far is actually there's been a 100% repayment rate coming through. So, and we know RWA or real world assets. Student loans is a real world asset. What we're also looking at is more ethical forms of financing, because, especially in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia, there's a large Muslim population as well. And maybe the loan narrative isn't something that's ethical from that perspective. So how can we look at more ethical or Sharia compliant versions of these kind of student financing as well?
I love how you spoke about how you were moving more into this space, how that would apply culturally, because I can sort of attest to that. I'm Filipino, so I can sort of attest to that being a very negative part of our culture, and I love that you are proving or creating solutions for that in a sustainable manner. Look, we are at Global Blockchain Congress. You have a panel coming up. For those who are not going to be attending or not going to be here, they don't want to miss a thing, but you've got this panel about, as you said, hype versus fundamentals.
Absolutely.
What are the key things you want to talk about, that insights?
I mean, I think what we've seen, I've been in this space since 2017, and hype alone fades very quickly. If you have fundamentals and you lay a hype on top, what it does, it enhances your network effects. And what I mean by that is your distribution. As a token going into new communities. But hype alone, we've seen the charts of the tokens, they either start up high and they drop, or they pump, and unfortunately they then dump.
Game of hot potato.
It's a game of hot potato. It's also zero sum, where a lot of people are trying to extract value.
That's your math coming in.
100% the math coming in. And it's psychology as well, because if I'm entering into a financial asset, which are what tokens are to a degree, and my motivation is to make revenue or to be able to maybe make profit and be able to extract value, then I'm not there to add value. And I feel that's one of the biggest challenges we have in the space. But that's really where the fundamentals come in. And you can see, again, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana are examples where the fundamentals are there and it's matched with a layer of hype
100%.
on top. And that's why they have the market positioning they have today.
100%. Again, this is also one of the core things that you are applying here at Open Campus. Okay, well, before I end every interview, I always ask everyone if you could give a Web3 TV exclusive. And I know you already gave some alpha, but I think there's a bit more to squeeze from you with that, so go ahead.
I think we're a Binance listed token, but we're also looking to list on more exchanges. So maybe Kraken is going to make an announcement soon, maybe not. And we're also going, we're cross-chain or multi-chain already, but we'll be transitioning to Base and Solana very, very soon as well. But no official announcements have been made yet, so you're hearing it first.
Wink, wink.
And what we haven't spoken about is the token ticker. Again, this is not financial advice, but it's EDU is our token ticker. Again,
in terms of, your focus now is in Southeast Asia. You are sort of thinking about the Middle East, anywhere else?
I'm based out of London, if the accent didn't give it away. So we're doing a lot of work in the House of Lords as well to try to bring on board more government adoption, but also let them know that blockchain is here as a solution from a technological aspect, versus just a negative buzzword, where people have had negative experiences around blockchain and Web3. So there's a lot of education happening there, and hopefully we can see some adoption.
Yes.
Because I feel, especially in the education sector, Britain has always led the way, and it's lagged behind for the last maybe 20 years. So there's an opportunity here for us to showcase the UK as a leader in education, leveraging a lot of the tech 100%. Coming out of Open Campus.
As you said, blockchain is here to stay. Invite them to your socials or how they can collaborate, connect with you all.
Absolutely. So socials, Open Campus XYZ. That's the handle on Twitter. And the website is opencampus.xyz. My handles are mo_EZZ14 on Twitter. Give me a hit. I'll give me a follow. Give me a DM. If anyone's looking to collaborate, very open. We are a DAO, which we didn't touch on, but the reason for DAOs is we know it's all about collaboration, and education isn't something we're going to change ourselves, and it's really the collective power of us as individuals coming together, which is what will make a difference.
And I heard he hosts X Spaces wherein something interesting happens at the end of each. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. You'll just have to find out.
Keep an eye out for our Token Talk series on X.
There you go. There you have it again. This has been Ida Quiroz. Catch you in the next one.
Web3